there, thanks for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Today we're going to do some watercoloring. We're going to be using this adorable Sassy Cheryl's stamp image called Bunny Assistance, and I'll put a link to that and all the supplies I used down in the description box in case you'd like to pick something up. I went ahead and printed my image on some Arches 140-pound cold press watercolor paper, so let's get started. Alright, so today I'm going to be painting with my 48-pan Schmincke watercolors, and I did pick these up over at Jackson's Art Supplies. They're kind of expensive. They're not just to pick up on a whim. I wished for them for Christmas, and I picked them up for myself for a Christmas gift, and I used them sparingly because they're like I said, they're not free. But I'm going to go ahead and use those today. You could always substitute the colors for something you have on hand. I'm going to use a couple of oranges. So today I'm going to be using translucent orange and chrome yellow deep for my carrot. And what I did is I went ahead and I got it completely wet, and then I went in and I applied a base layer of those two colors mixed together with a little dab of water in there to dilute them so that they'd be pretty light. And then I let it dry, and I'm coming back now with a second coat of those same colors. I just have a little bit less water in there so it darkens it up. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do the entire time that I'm painting today, is I'm going to be using a few colors and I'm going to apply them to my painting multiple times. Just each time I'll add another little dab of color to my diluted paint, or mix a new color up with the same exact color so that they're a little bit darker. They're not quite so toned down with water. And we'll just use those to layer them up. I am letting it dry pretty much in between each one. Occasionally, like this little set there, I came in and I added a little bit, I think I added some burnt umber to my paint this time, so I'd have a little bit different colors there to come in on my carrots, because I don't know about you, but when I buy carrots, they have different colors and tones on them, so I wanted them to be a little bit of different shades. And then I'm just letting it dry. See, I put my pencil down, my paintbrush down, so I let it dry, and I'm coming back, and there I decided I didn't have enough brown, so I'm just dabbing in a little bit of my burnt umber, and then I'm coming back with my orange colors and darkening that up. I'm going to do that the entire time so that it will continue to get darker and darker. There I let it dry, and see how much difference there is between when it was dry and when it was wet. But I have some nice little highlighted shades. So I decided it wasn't quite as orange as I wanted it, so I'm just going to again go in with some more of my mixed up orange colors, and I'm going to add those onto my carrot. I'm kind of dragging them out so there's some lines on it, so we'll add a little bit of character. I decided my highlight there was a little bit too stark, so I added a little bit of my light wash color of my orange over the top of it to tone it down a little bit. Here I went in with my orange, and I've added a little bit of red in there, and I'm going to say that it was madder red, or no, deep red, that I added to my orange to really darken it up and make it a really bright dark orange color, so we can get some shadows on that side that the rabbits are hanging onto. So there, we've let it dry, and see how much different it is from when I painted it, and it's all nice and dry, and now it's all got those great lines on there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start our leaves, and I'm just going over those with a little bit of my green. For that, I'm using some olive green yellowish. I diluted it with some water, and I'm just painting it on there and letting it dry just a little bit, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to add a little bit of permanent green olive to that or olive green yellowish color, and I'm just adding it to a few places on my leaves to darken them up. I'll come back again and we'll add a little bit more color to those leaves eventually anyway, because they're not going to be as dark as I want. And I decided there that I hated my lines I drew on there, so I'm just going over it with a little bit more of my darker colors and just kind of splattering it around in there and kind of just being messy with it and making some different colors and leaving you a few spots lighter so that there'll be some character when it's all dry. I'm going to go ahead and I'm mixing all of my paint today on a plain ceramic square plate that I picked up over on Amazon. It's perfect. It's kind of I guess it's about 8 inches wide, so there's plenty of room for me to mix stuff around in there and then just go with it from there. So here we've got a little bit of our burnt umber, and I added it to some Payne's Gray, and then I diluted it with water so that we could start our rabbits. I went ahead and I just did a wash on all of the rabbits with that light color, and then I'm coming back in and I'm adding a little bit more burnt umber to my mixed paint, and I'm just adding it to where I want to have shadows, so kind of along the bottom of the rabbit closest to the carrot. We're just going to go along and dab that on there. I'm kind of keeping it to the bottom of his face, around on his belly, and then down on his legs area, and I want the outside areas to be kind of out in the sunshine, so I didn't paint those all the way in. And then I go ahead and rinse my brush off, and I'm coming back with just my damp brush and kind of spreading that paint out so it doesn't have quite so much white lines on the edge of his body. I didn't want it to have quite so many lines on there, so I kind of dabbed it off. I'm going to go back in, and I'm again adding some more of my darker green onto my leaves to add some shadows on there. And you see how I left a few spaces with the color in between. I didn't paint the whole leaf in. And then for my little rabbit's ears, I'm using magenta. It's kind of a dark pinkish red color. I diluted it with some water just to give it, so it wouldn't be quite so purplish pink. And then we're going around the outside of our rabbits or our carrot here. I want to add some color out there, so I'm going ahead and I'm getting it wet, and I'm going to add some mountain blue, or no, cobalt. It's cobalt turquoise, and I put that on my plate, and then I added some water to it so that we could do some diluted paint on there, because it's pretty dark when you put it on there. It's concentrated. And then I come back after I have it on there a little bit and it's dried for a couple of seconds. I'll dab a little bit along the edges just to darken it up so that it's not quite so light. I'll probably come back again and add another coat a little bit after it's dry, but we're going to go all the way around the outside of the rabbits and then the tops there too. See, I added my second coat of that turquoise in there, and because the paper was wet, it has this nice bleed where it bled out towards my rabbits and made it look really cool. Once it dries, it won't be that dark, but I'm really liking how it looks right now. So you might want to give that a try. Don't let your paper dry all the way, and just try dabbing and adding a little bit of paint in there, and it will give it some more texture and some more contrast and stuff on there. There I went along the sides. I didn't really love how my line was drying, so I just got it wet so that it would feather out a little bit more. We're going to do this side of the rabbits because I thought they looked funny without blue on the other side, so I'm just adding a little bit of my turquoise on there and giving them some shadows around the outside. I'm really liking how the paint is bleeding out and then it kind of feathers to a stop there on the edges, and it gives us some nice little dimension and stuff on there. So I wandered off, I let it dry, and then I'm coming back and I add a little bit of lamp black to my browns, and I am just darkening up the edges of my rabbits and kind of giving them some definition around the edges of their legs. We're just adding some more character. Watercolor painting is not instant. You just come back, and it took me a good hour and a half of fiddling, and that didn't include the time where I wandered off and let it dry in between. Here we're adding some of that leaf color down on my ground to give these little guys something to stand on. They can't be standing on nothing. So we put some of that green in there. I'm kind of dabbing it around. I decided I'd put a little bit of my neutral tint on there to give it some brownish colors, a little bit more of that dark green on there. And then I'm coming back and darkening up my shadows on my rabbit. So I added a little bit more of my lamp black to that to darken it up. We're adding a little bit of our cobalt turquoise around the outside of my carrot to add some more character. I'm kind of purposely bringing my pencil or my paintbrush out and some water out and making it go where I want it to go, just so to add a little bit some streaky lines out there and kind of add some character. I decided my grass wasn't going very well, so I'm going to add some more darker colors in there, probably a little bit of brown, my burnt umber. And then let's do some flicking. Nothing is complete without flicking, so I just use some paint that was on my plate that was left over, and I'm just flicking it onto there, and I'm going to let it dry. I'm coming in and darkening up my grass again some more. Don't forget to paint his little nose. I went in there and painted that. And then I'm adding a little dab of color to his tail because I forgot all about their tails. And then eventually I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a little bit of my lamp black after it dries there. I let it completely dry. I decided it wasn't going to be that grass looks terrible. So I'm going in with my dark green and I'm adding that under where they're standing to add some shadows. And then I'm going to come in with just a little dab of my diluted rabbit color here in a bit, and we're going to darken up some of those areas underneath where the rabbits are standing and where the carrot goes into the ground to give them a little bit more color. Some more shadow along the edge of my rabbit, under their ears. I added a little dab of color to their ears here so that they would have a little bit of shadows where their fur is touching the inside of their ear. Again, I'm still fiddling with that carrot. I do a lot of fiddling with this carrot. I decided it needs a few more lines, so I'm adding some more orange in there, kind of dragging it out and adding some lines across the entire carrot so that it will be have a little bit more definition and like some creases, I guess. Carrots are not flat. And then we're going to go ahead and there I'm adding a little bit of my lamp black underneath of my rabbits to give them something to stand on. And that is going to finish our little project up. Now the best part is peeling off all of the tape. I love it when you peel off the tape and you have the finished project and it looks all done. I'm going to give it a quick score with my bone folder, and that is going to do it for us. If you would like to see a few close-up pictures or read more about it and see a list of supplies, you can check down in the description box. You can also head over to the store blog, and I will put a complete post over there that you can read about, and there's a link to the blog down in the description box under blog post. Also, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And right about now, you should be seeing a couple of videos I thought you might be interested in watching. If you're interested in watching either of those, just click on them and it'll take you straight to the video. If you have a question, leave me a comment down below and I'll make sure to get back to you. Otherwise, I hope you're having a fabulous day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.